Good morning, everybody. My name is Jared O'Leary. I've been playing drums since 1998, but I still got plenty of stuff to work on. Today, I'm going to be working on my Diddle interpretation. So we're going to play an exercise that works on that to warm up. We're going to stretch and massage, and then we're going to play a 16th note version of that exercise. And we're going to grind that out, try and improve that. And then I'm going to chop out with a 16th note diddle exercise, and then we're going to call it there. So that's the plan for today's practice stream. Now, in every single one of these practice streams, you can find timestamps after I finish them in the description to see what I was working on or what I was talking about. And so you can check those out if that interests you. Now, often people will come in and ask me questions like, hey, how do I work on this? How do I improve this? And I will put those edited down versions of the answers into this playlist. Just skip past the ones that say members first. All of those are scheduled to release a new one every single Friday. So stay tuned for this one to come out next week, how to improve sight reading and other drumming tips. But in here we've got over 12 hours of drumming content. Nobody cares? Oh, you don't care about somebody who's an award-winning educator, scholar, and musician who's won some of the highest awards possible in the field? That's fine. You don't have to listen to me. What do I know? Anyways, so on my website at jaredoleary.com/drum, you can find over 2,000 free play-alongs and drumming tips and live streams, etc. There's 56 chop exercises. There's 407 triplet grid variations. There's 555 16th note grid variations. There's 55 drum charts, over 400 marching bass stuff, just under 300 technique stuff, and then all the lists that are right here. It's interesting how many people we've already got that are getting the band hammer. Goodbye. All right, so the one that I'm going to warm up with is Diddle timing. So we're in here. And we're going to start off with this one. So we're going to use this to get our blood flowing. Yas. It's like a Bible to help you with your drumming. Get your blood flowing and whatnot. Plenty of stuff to work on. Okay, so this one, this specifically works on single diddles. So as opposed to 5 strokes. There's a 5-stroke variation of this, but we're going to warm up with this one. So I'm going to set this using the timestamps in the description to 140. And we're just going to use this to get the blood flowing, and then we're going to stretch and massage. Hopefully this isn't too loud. Stay tuned, we'll find out. All right, good enough. Diddle on 2. All right, again. Thank you, Steven. All right, like 1 or 2 more reps. And then we're going to stretch and massage. so we'll stop there. So again, in this playlist, there are multiple variations for this. We're going to work here in a little bit on the 16th note version of this first one actually, not accent on 2. But first we're going to stretch and massage. It's important to keep your hands healthy so you can be drumming when you're nice and old like I am. So take your sticks, hold them so that your palms are facing up, and pull in one like this, follow through with the other, and you push through. It looks weird, but it stretches the sides of your forearms. It feels great. Highly recommend it. And you hold it here for a little bit, and then you go back out the way that you came. If you are doing traditional, rotate and hold to one end of the extreme with your left hand, and then rotate and hold to the other end of the extreme. But because I don't do traditional anymore, I'm not going to do that. Now I'm going to stretch the underside of my forearm. So you could do it like this. You could do 2 fingers at a time if you want deeper stretch, or you could do this on your drums, or you could do this on the wall. The lower you go, the deeper the stretch. Don't put all your weight into it. Don't tear stuff. And now we're going to stretch the top side of the forearms. You could do it like this. You could do it on your drums. You could do it on your legs. Or you could do this on the wall. The higher you go, the deeper the stretch. And now we're going to stretch finger to finger. So we're going thumb to thumb. It's important to get your blood flowing, so that's why we were warming up with that diddle timing exercise before you do the stretch and massage, so you can get things loosened up a little bit. And then we get into the grind. So this exercise just came out a couple days ago, at least released publicly. We've got a bunch of members first videos, over 400 of them, so a new one daily for the next year. Stay tuned for more. But hello, Sean. We are going to work on this one, and I've never worked on it before. It's a new one for me, and I wrote it. Now that we stretched, now we're going to massage. So we're doing thumb on top, fingers underneath. We are massaging, trying to get nice and relaxed with your arms. And then we'll do the hands and then the fingers, and then we'll get back to drumming. Do I like the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers movie from 1995? I haven't seen that movie probably since 1995. So I don't remember. That was a long time ago. I would have been in elementary school. All right, now I'm going to massage the palm. So I'm doing the thumb massaging the palm and the fingers massaging the back side of the hand. Trying to just get relaxed. And then we'll work on the diddle interpretation. Take care of your hands, folks. Been drumming for over 26 years. It's important. There's a reason why I'm playing with these Hardeman hammers and can still do that 26 years later. It's because I take care of my hands. Ooh, ASMR. Enjoy that pop. Free charge. You don't even have to be a paid member to get that experience. Pretty cool, right? Yeah, I know. So I'm massaging base of the tip of each one of the fingers, and we'll call it with the massaging. All right, so the one that I'm going to do is the one where my mouse is hovering over it. So 16th note diddle timing. So we're going to do this one. It goes from 20 beats a minute all the way up to 160, one click at a time, every single one in between here. So if you go into the timestamps, you can jump to whatever BPM you want. So if you want to hear what this sounds like at like 60, cool, you can play it at 60. Or if you want to hear it at 148, cool, you can go to that. We're going to try and slowly improve this. Let's see, how long does it take? It's about 20 minutes for that. Just trying to plan out how much time I want to spend on it. Let's do 60 to 80. Good morning, Tyler. How you doing this morning? So this will give me, if you like look at the timestamp so you can see it'll be a little more than 30 minutes to go through it. Like that. That'll be good. I think. Maybe. I might be like, no, this is too fast. Wow, that was great. Actually, I'm going to stop here. I should explain what's going on here. So I didn't explain it for the last one. I'm playing it poorly right now. But what it does is a check. And then it has diddle on 1 for this first like 2 lines. But what we're doing is we're slurring out the diddle intentionally, playing through the diddle, and then rushing the diddle, and then playing the normal interpretation of the diddle. So we're playing slurred, normal, rush, normal. We're trying to be able to control going back and forth between improper interpretation and the proper interpretation. And so we do that with diddle on 1, diddle on 2, diddle on 3, diddle on 4. And then the very end of this has a synthesis where you play just a measure of normal interpretation for each of the 4 permutations of the diddle across the subdivision. So that's what we're going to be working on. But, you know, if I played better, it would sound better. So this is an excellent exercise. It's a variation, the 16th variation of the one that I just warmed up with, the triplet variation. That triplet one I've used with a lot of drum lines, and it really helps, especially younger students, figure out what it should sound like, because they don't know when they're rushing or dragging. And this can help with that. Those 5-lets I'm off on the timing on. No, I don't like this. It's not good. I need to go slower. I need to go to 40. It's not good enough. We gotta try it again. I also need water. I feel dehydrated. Let's remedy that with 7 gallons of water. I'm actually a giant. This is a barrel. These sticks are baseball bats. Here we go. Okay. So we gotta improve our interp. Yeah, that's a good idea with the 5-lit. Slower than I think. Interesting. In the next 30 or so minutes, hopefully we get that interpretation down. Stay tuned, we'll find out. What's that say? I don't get it. Hope. I don't know what that means. Yeah, what does that mean? Do I need to ban a 3rd person already today? Pope? Is your immaturity showing? Late. It's interesting, like, literally in the first minute of streaming, I already had to ban 2 people. Oh, see, I'm old, so I don't know those things. I get so much like random harassment on here that I just have like 0 tolerance for it. So I was like, is that something I don't know? But I assumed it might not have been, because you've come in many times before and haven't been an issue. Yeah, there's a lot of spaces on the internet for brain rot. I try to not have that here. I don't know if I, haven't made that clear enough, but that's not the vibe. Yeah, that 5-lit timing is still off. Hence, why we're practicing. Wait, why did I ban 2 people? Because somebody came in and was being very rude, and then somebody was talking about an inappropriate way that they would like to acquire milk, and I was like, goodbye. Come on, Amina. Now, I've got a ton of, filters and, auto mod and stuff. So I don't see a lot of it, but a couple of those comments, we're still able to get through. Because they were unique. They were new. But still got banned. Haven't had anybody talking about some of the things they were talking about. You just rented a baritone, you play trumpet? Awesome. I personally like the low brass in terms of playing it more so than I did upper brass, because it was easier on my embouchure, which is not very good because, drummer. But baritone can be beautiful. And we all know those trumpet players who are just squealers. And they have that, attitude. You know what I'm talking about. They think that the whole world revolves around them. What's my channel about? I create thousands of drumming videos. I also have gaming stuff and computer science stuff. Because I'm a nerd. But the home tab has everything organized. How long I've been playing drums? Since 1998. That's when I first started, 8th grade. You don't know why no one's watching? Oh, you're on one of the multiple streams. There's people in the horizontal. You're in the vertical. But I don't have any of the view counts up because I honestly am here to practice. And if a question comes in, cool, I'll answer it. Otherwise, I'm gonna practice. If nobody's here, I'm still getting better. And that's okay with me. But yeah, we've already had people stop by on Instagram, on both YouTubes, on TikTok. So, people chill. You want to get into playing instruments? Do it. Just take practice. I remind you of your band teacher? Well, I have 3 degrees in music education. I used to teach band. Does your band teacher look like Saitama? Are they an Agent 47 look-alike? Yeah, that's a good point, Tyler. Unlike like violin or oboe, they're expensive. The thing about drums is it's like easy to learn, quote unquote, but so hard to master. I mean, you can hit in time, and that's relatively easy to learn, but to like play it consistently. Woo. Hey, have a good one, Pope. Thanks for clarifying. I'm glad I didn't have to ban another person. The record I've got so far in one day for bands is over 100 people in one day. That was an interesting day. Well, the 5s are getting better. The rushed diddle interpretation. Just a little bit. Still got a lot to do. Early. What do I usually ban people for? A variety of things. If they clearly are just there to troll, goodbye. If you are just harassing me or other people, goodbye. If they're being a 5-year-old, goodbye. If they're spouting out racist or sexist or just being a bigot, goodbye. So, a lot of stuff. Life's too short to deal with trolls. Ooh, that sounds great. Yeah. We, my wife and I just got a hot cocoa ornament. Like, one is hot cocoa and the other is marshmallows. It's super cute. We like to have hot cocoa together. She makes really good hot cocoa. But it is nowhere near snowing here in Phoenix. The other day we went rollerblading and it was like mid-70s. It was great. But, you know, we got those summers. The kind of summers where when other groups come and tour here, at least one person gets hospitalized when they perform at the Southwest Core Connection because of, like, dehydration or something. So there's, like, ambulances on standby. And that's even when performing at night. But yeah, I've been working from home since 2017, I think. I can't go back. After, like, being in the classroom and having every minute of my day planned for me, to, like, the flexibility of being able to work when you want, on what you want, I just can't go back to that. I just prefer the autonomy. But that's just me. Nathan, good morning! Yeah, the heat in Arizona is like no joke. It's a dry heat. I'll take that over humidity. But there have literally been people who have died who have come from other groups. There was a BOA group that was like performing from out of state, and like one of the students died. We've had football players die from heat exhaustion, coaches die. And these are all just at, like, schools I was a part of. I've been hospitalized a few times for dehydration. So, you know, it's a serious thing. The weather in California is confusing right now. Man, a lot in California right now is confusing. I hope things get better for LA. That's rough. Nathan, that's awesome. GG's. Glad to hear your work is paying off. Hopefully the tips that I was given for like working on those permutations helps out with that. Just keep giving it time. It'll get better. That's funny. Yeah, I have to remind myself to drink water. It's just like, I don't, well, part of it's like the autism that I have, that I don't focus on my needs, like food or water. And so when I'm creating stuff, like writing music or like writing a paper or like whatever, I just like don't think about the stuff that, you know, I need to do to live. Which sounds weird, but like if I'm working on a project, I have to set a timer or I will like not stop. So yeah, drinking water is like a thing I have to remind myself of. Do I enjoy marching, percussion, or drum set more? I've spent way more time with drumline than anything drum kit related. So I am still a novice on drum kit. But I've been teaching drumline and Rudimental since 2003. So I've been a part of that for a long time. Although I haven't taught a drumline in a long time in person. I stopped teaching it when I was working on my residency for my doctorate. It was taking up too much time for my research. So I stopped. And then I did a weird pivot after I finished the coursework for the doctorate. I started teaching computer science, and so kind of like had a weird career shift for a little bit. But I like them both. I'm just not great at drum kit yet. I currently don't teach. I create online resources, like on my home tab. There's thousands of videos. But I taught every grade kindergarten. I can't speak. Every grade kindergarten through doctoral student. So, a wide range of teaching experience in both music education and computer science education. I actually turned down a computer science education professorship to do this. Would have been a cool one too. It was teaching graduate students computer science education and research. Which is funny because like all three of my degrees are music education. So I always felt like an imposter when I was teaching computer science education stuff. But then I've just spent so much time in the field and done so much that like I'm like, okay, yeah, I can do that. Which is kind of like, how much formal schooling do you need to be able to do stuff, teach stuff? You glad this is something I'm still passionate about though? Yeah. Actually, this will require a little more brain power than being able to play and respond at the same time. I know a lot of people who got burned out from making music, like a lot of people. My freshman year of my undergrad, there's a music theory professor who was like, look around, and like in the class, and there's like, I don't know, well over 100 of us in there. And he's like, a quarter of you will be left by 4 years from now. And he was right, but it was actually 2 years from then. So the last semester in my second year of music theory, you're looking around, there's like 25 people in the room, maybe 20, compared to like well over 100 when you start. It's amazing how much like being a part of music, you can get burned out when you are playing music for other people that you don't enjoy making. And I just saw that time and time again. So many of my friends, percussionists or just like other musicians, just like left because they're like, this is not worth it. Like it is such a mental drain to just like never be good enough on anything you're playing, and you're playing stuff that you don't care about. Like we own a marimba, which I'm very grateful for. I'm lucky for. It allowed me to practice like as an undergrad, but I don't like marimba. I don't want to play it. I have no interest in it. The only reason why we we had a marimba is so that it could practice for the undergrad. So there's just like, as a percussionist, instruments that you have to play and pieces that you have to learn, that it's like I'm spending how many dozens of hours every single week playing stuff that I don't enjoy, and you just eventually learn to like despise it, especially when the system itself is set up and taught in a way that treats you poorly. So I had a course that was 6 semesters long that was 0 credits each. So 6 semesters, 0 credits, and it was mandatory for the degree because they had degree requirements where you can only have 120 credits to be able to get an undergrad, and you can't go above that. So they're like, oh, well, let's make all these courses that meet 3 days a week 1 credit, And then we're going to make these 6 semesters 0 credit. So that way it still adds up to 120. So there was a time where I had like a dozen classes one semester, and I had the same amount of course load as credit-wise as a friend of mine who had 3 classes, and I had a dozen classes. So like there's so many systems set up that really just like cause you to get burnout. But then there's also the teaching side of it. There's the PC version of this story is I had a friend who went to a lesson, and the professor was like, "You sound like poop. Don't come back until you don't sound like poop." And that was like the friendly version of what he actually said. So like the stuff that you see in the movie Whiplash, like in terms of the instruction, I've seen people teach that way. Maybe not consistently to that extreme, but I have seen drumline instructors throw stuff at their students. I've been on drum lines where instructors have thrown stuff at the rest of the snare line. I've seen professors talk down and talk to students the way that they're done there. It's absurd. So after I finished my undergrad, I got like really burned out with it. I was enjoying teaching, but I'd like never want to play mallets again. And that's a shame because it's a beautiful instrument and we own a marimba. I could play it, but I just don't want to. I hate it. That's actually like after my master's is when I started like learning drum kit, because there's like, I want to play something that will challenge me that I don't know yet. And so that kind of rekindled my passion for it. But yeah, it's rough. Anyways, yeah, have a careful conversation with those. Yes. Yeah. No, I hear you. That's the same thing for research too. Like when people are like, I'm thinking about getting a PhD. It's like, well, if you're thinking about it, if you're just doing it for the pay raise, you get like maybe $1,000 more as a teacher, like per year. Woo! That's not worth it. It's just like the course load and the research load, and then the mental taxing side of things. Like a lot of the doc students that I went with, like we would constantly talk about how like all of us needed therapy because of just like how grueling it was and like how demanding it was to be a part of that. And the School of Music's the same way. Like it's rough. It's just you're constantly surrounded by people who are better than you because they're like doctoral students and you're an undergrad, or they're the professor who's been playing for like longer than you've been alive, etc. And you're I don't know. It's just the stuff that I mentioned there. You're a junior in high school. You're stumped on how to progress in your own playing. So the way that I do these like practice streams, like models how to I'm trying to improve. But if you go to the home tab, since you're on YouTube, this playlist right here, the drumming tips, scroll past the members first stuff. You don't need to sign up to be a membership. Like these are just early access. But there's currently 78 videos right here, well over a dozen hours of like tips, like how to practice and what to practice. And if you just start with those, that'll point you in a direction of like things to work on and like how you can improve. But that would be like the first thing that I recommend. And then the link at the top of each one of the videos or the play-alongs like shows you where everything's organized. But if you want to just stay on YouTube, you totally can. Just click on the drumming content header, and then it expands to show you all the play-alongs and whatnot. But I just ranted a bunch there. You want to be challenged more? Yeah. I have had to like kind of set my own challenges for myself. School was not, I don't know how I want to phrase this, but school is not like very challenging in the ways I wanted to be challenged. Like I was constantly forced to learn stuff I didn't care about. And in the computer science education podcast that I used to do, I talk a lot about why it's set up that way and like the problems with it. But there are approaches, like there's a Sudbury model of schools where you can go in and just like, I want to learn whatever I want, and then they'll assist you with that. Like that's one end of the continuum, but then there's like the other end, which is like the back to basics stuff, where it's like we're gonna drill and kill in the skill. It's a very different approach that I don't like. So I personally, like when I was teaching in the classroom, I focused on this thing. This is probably too much, but it's called rhizomatic learning. And it like if you had 30 kids in the class, they could be working on 30 different projects and then going in 30 different directions at 30 different paces, which was fantastic for individualized learning. But it's harder to set up and honestly a little bit easier to teach because you're just like answering and asking questions one-on-one or getting peer-to-peer assistance and whatnot. But there are ways to like teach that like makes it so that school can be individualized and interesting. It's just not enough people know about it. So I don't know. I'm ranting here. But yeah, in the podcast, like I have like several episodes that kind of unpack how you can actually do that in computer science context. And then I wrote a chapter on that for a music education handbook. Forget which one. One of them. Thank you for the like. Sorry for the rant. But yeah, Neb, so there's people often come into these streams and they'll ask me questions because I have such a range of experience. They'll ask, hey, how do I work on this? Or teach this? Or whatever. So feel free to either come into another stream or just like leave comments. I do respond to all the comments on YouTube, unless, you know, it's harassment, and then I just block them. But I'm glad here is useful. I will say that, I wanted to play a different exercise there. School gets better the higher up you go. So it's not until like grad school where they like would ask you, what do you want to learn? It's just a shame that it takes like 15 years before they ask that question. Aside from like electives. But even that, it's like, what topic do you want to learn? And then it's like, here's the course that everybody has to go down, the same path. It's just not good. We're seeing the effects of that play out in society right now, and it's not healthy. People lack expertise, and they lack the understanding of how to develop the expertise, and that leads to a lot of issues, to say the least. Yeah, the interpretation right now, it's better than it was when I started, but it's still not great. So I'll probably need to work on this again in 2 days. 'Cause tomorrow will be drum kit. Oops. I read the wrong line. I started to play the last line. This one. Those fives are a little bit better. There's also a 5-stroke version of this. Ew. That is currently members first, but it comes out in the next couple of weeks, I think. I don't know, there's like over 400 scheduled, so I kind of forget when they're all coming out. Eventually. I started playing the third measure. I have. Yeah, Ned, there's over 2,000 videos that are on my channel for just drumming. But there's over 400 currently scheduled. So over a year's worth of content. And I'm still adding more. But yeah, I saw his video. It reminded me of a video, one of the drumming tips videos where I talk about, somebody asked why DCI drumming is so unmusical. And so I gave some thoughts on why that is. But the audience of drum corps has kind of gotten more niche. And what they're playing is more interesting to people who are familiar with that niche, but it's not necessarily friendly for people who aren't at that level. So it'll make it more difficult to like find new people unless they come up through a marching program and get exposed to that style of playing and whatnot. But yeah, the like if you the movie Drumline came out way back in the day. I forget what year it was, but it may have been when I was in high school or around there. And like that exposed so many people to drumline, and they're like, "Oh yeah, this is so cool!" But they were playing like the show style rather than the core style music, and I don't know. There's like a balance there where it's like, who are you performing for? Are you performing for going back to the DCI thing, the snare breaks? Like, are you performing for the judge, or are you performing for an audience that is currently bought into it, or are you performing for an audience that is new to it and doesn't understand it? And so, like, there's different context to go with. Good morning, Jeffrey. Whenever you're writing any kind of book, but most of the groups that I can think of that I've been a part of in different ways, either as a student or as a performer, they cared about the judge's opinion more so than the audience. And I'm not necessarily going to put judgment on which one is more right or more wrong in what context, but like it just has a profound impact on the style over time, because if the only thing that matters is the judge's opinion, and that's what gets you the first place or the ring or the trophy, and that's what gets you more sponsorships and more money from like outside funders and whatnot, then it doesn't matter that the activity itself would not grow as a result of the music that you're writing, if that makes sense. So it's just like different contexts lead to different musical results. What's the most effective way to learning how to mark time? If you use these play-alongs, it can help out. Like if you were listening to it, it has like the left foot and the right foot are like a different woodblock sound. But when you're marking time, I've got some drumming tips videos on this that talk about it, but just to like quickly summarize, the biggest thing I recommend is like overemphasizing and like literally like stomping your feet down so you can physically feel the pulse inside of your body. And then over time, you slowly start to make those motions more minimal, and then you get to like a normal mark time where it's like not causing any kind of motion. But if you overemphasize it and actually like physically stomp, then that will help out with that. So back when I used to teach elementary general music, one of the things we would do is like have kids internalize the pulse by actually tapping on like their shoulders or tapping on their head or things like that, so they could actually feel that pulse. And so that helps younger kids and younger musicians learn how to do it. And you're just basically applying that concept into your feet and just stomp with it and practice with these play-alongs. Another thing that you can do if you have a drum kit is you can like set it up so that your bass drum is on your left and your hi-hat is on your right, so you hear boom chick, and just sit there and like play with your feet, and then just like drum on a pad, or like hear boom chick, marking time to that. Another thing that you can do is do like a measure of the stompy mark time, and then a measure of playing while marking time, and then back to a measure of basically your check being marking time, and then a measure of like playing, and you just keep repeating that over and over through the exercise that you're working on, and that can help you out with that. You like to hear drum corps on the street in the city? Nice. Yeah, I actually lived like near where the academy would rehearse. Like it was literally jogging distance from my house. So I'd sometimes jog to rehearsal. But it's cool. Like I've also been like I was in Wyoming years ago, helping them develop computer science education standards for the state. And where I was staying at the Airbnb, like I could hear the troopers rehearsing. It was pretty cool. And they played at a parade and whatnot, so it's fun to hear groups rehearse. Although, like having taught at some groups that used to rehearse starting at jump scare. Thank you for the follow. Some groups that started it in like 6 o'clock in the morning that I taught at, and like we weren't allowed to play until 7. I know it annoyed a lot of people the moment we started like hitting the drums at 7 o'clock. But, you know, is what it is. All right, I'm going to chop out with a technique exercise. So I went into here. This is a variation of the exercise known as gallop that Paul Rennick will often teach his drum lines. But this exercise is like an extended version of that. So you just go to the timestamps, you click. Thank you for the follow on the Twitch. But here we go. Let's do this. Whoa, I started playing the extended version. All right, let's go to the point where my hands completely fall apart. I'm easily distracted this morning. Apparently I got a lack of concentration. Actually, let's go by 20s. No, 10's fine. Second guessing myself here. Now, the goal when doing this is you should try and make it sound nice and even all the way across you're playing. If you're watching this at a distance and at muted, you should not see any changes in the hands. It should just look like you're playing 16th notes the whole time, so you don't want to like play a diddle and suddenly like start looking like you're doing an accent tap or something like that. Faster. 130. And then after I burn out my chops with this, we're going to get ready for some Fortnite. Click on some faces. Hopefully get some wins. All right, well, had to go check that. The smoke detector was going off. Everything's good. Breakfast apparently got a little toasty. Okay, let's do 140. Wish me luck. Oh no! I messed up. Whoopsies. Yours ran out of battery yesterday? Thought it was yours. That's funny. Yeah, the amount of times that I've like jumped into a voice chat, which is like a random in like squads or something on a video game, and they have the chirp on their smoke detector, just like, you know, it's not supposed to do that, right? That beep. You need a 9-volt in there, my friend. It's dangerous. I had to tell quite a few of them, you need to replace your battery. No! We found our breaking point today. Ooh wee! This but with buzzes. Yeah, like what is it, Schlitz and Giggles? That's such a good way to warm up though. Like one of the fastest ways, if you want to warm up real quick, play roll exercises with buzzes. That'll get the blood flowing. Hence, you know, why they started with that. Anyways, I'm easily distractible this morning, apparently, so apologies for that. 2 days from now, will continue to work on the interpretation of those diddles, because they weren't good yet. But, you know, is what it is. The goal tomorrow is we'll work on some more limb-independent stuff, and then we'll be back on technique 2 days from now. And no stream on Monday, I got a conflict, but stay tuned for those. If you're on YouTube and you want to find these play-alongs and literally thousands more, just go to the home tab and click on the drumming content, and you can find all of these in here. Or go to the link at the top of each one of the videos, and that will take you to here. That's got 56 chop exercises, over 900 grid variations, 55 drum charts, over 100 timing exercises, over 400 marching bass, just under 300 technique stuff, and then all the tips, all the live streams, all the lessons, blah, 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 blah. If you're interested in that. If you like this content, just share it with somebody else. That's it. Don't need to pay for it. Thank you for the people who have. Thank you. Appreciate you. But I am going to get set up for the Fortnite stream. Oh, I don't mention this much, but if you haven't been to this one yet, the Percussion Dictionary, for all your concert percussionists out there, this is a really quick, like, what on earth is a insaim? It means to play together. What is maestoso? It means to play majestic. Or parlando means make it sound speech-like, etc. So you can check that out if you get some weird words where you're like, I don't know what that is. Well, a stabspiel is a glockenspiel, or a xylophone, rather. Of course, everyone knows that. Oh. But anyways, hey, I appreciate you, Tyler. I'm going to call it. I hope you all have a good rest of your day. And, yeah, goodbye.